Hi, I'm Matthew Buzzy from PC Mag, and we're here with Asus to talk about one of their new gaming laptop announcements. Among their sea of new gaming laptop announcements, we've seen products across the screen size range, and we're here today with a 17-inch laptop. But that doesn't mean it's big or hefty. It's pretty thin and has a bit of a trick up its sleeve as well. So Sasha, take it away. Tell us about the Zephyrus S17.
Right. So the Zephyrus S17 is something that we've had for a few years. I think a lot of people will probably remember it because it had a very unusual design. We pulled the keyboard to the front, and that allowed us to have all the space above the keyboard for thermals and be able to make it only 17 millimeters thin, which is really impressive, and still have really high performance in there. So 110 watt TGP for the GPU and a 17 millimeter laptop is really impressive. But yeah, people told us, a lot of people felt a little bit uncomfortable about, having the keyboard in front. It's a bit unusual design. So there was a couple of points that we got feedback wise. And so we took that all and we revamped the Zephyrus S17 a lot and basically addressed all the things that people said, this is pretty good, but it would be better if. So for example, one thing is they love the slim bezels of the original S17, but it would be cool if it had a webcam. So we added a webcam and we made the bezels still slimmer than they were before, which is pretty cool. We made the volume wheel bigger as well. And we also added a full-size SD card reader on the side. And we have the keyboard folding up. Like you said, it has a trick up its sleeve. It's basically the same mechanism or very similar mechanism to what we use on our Zephyrus Duo. So not only did we move the keyboard back to a traditional, standard position where you would expect a keyboard to be on a laptop, which generally people feel more comfortable and used to, we gave it not just a better keyboard, but the best keyboard we have in our whole 2021 ROG gaming laptop lineup, which is an optical mechanical keyboard. I don't know how well you can hear it, but it's clicky. It sounds really nice, feels really nice. And it's essentially, for those of you who want to know what it feels like, it's more like a mouse button. It's like a mouse button click. It's not as loud, and the tactile feedback is not as strong as on a Cherry MX Blue, for example. So yeah, it's a very nice keyboard. And it's really comfortable having the palm rest flat on the table and the keyboard elevated at 5 degrees. That really makes the typing experience so much better. And yeah, I mean, it's a common thing for gaming laptops that the keyboards get at least warm when you're playing games. On some laptops, depending also which mode you use, which operating mode. If you use like the turbo mode or if you use the default settings, whatever, sometimes they can get really, really hot. But that's why we have the different operating modes. So you can reduce the power and reduce the surface temperature, increase the fan speeds as well. But on this one, even better, we just lift the keyboard away from all the components that are in there. So you can see it's basically like you take the keyboard and you lift it up away from the hot components in there for really good temperatures. And I think that really makes a huge difference because keyboard temperature is one of those things that's like everybody knows about gaming laptops. The keyboard get notably warmer than on a regular laptop. And that's like one of the drawbacks if you go for a gaming laptop and you do some heavy work on them or you play games, but not with this one. So that's a really cool thing about the Zephyrus S17.
Very cool. Yeah, some, as you said, most laptops get warm, some get actually hot to the point of uncomfortable. This should reduce that. As you said, we've seen that the lifting cooling mechanism on a couple of other Asus laptops, most notably the dual screen laptops you've made, where the keyboard is on this system would be where the second display is. But
correct,
it does make more sense for the. I do agree that the typing on the front edge of the keyboard can be a bit awkward. So I'm curious how this feels with the slight slant and to put your wrists a little more forward. I'm looking forward to trying that out. This laptop is big. The 17-inch screen, it's very roomy, despite looking like a pretty thin system. Can you tell me about the display technology itself?
So yeah, display-wise, there's two options. So our Zephyrus lineup is our ultra portable gaming laptop lineup versus our Strix gaming series, which is all about esports, 360 hertz panel, and very nice RGB lighting. Those are a little bit thicker and a little bit less on portability, the focus, and better surface temperatures as well because they are thicker and more key travel and everything. And then we have our tough gaming series for price performance. So Zephyrus is for ultra portable gaming laptops. That's why it's slimmer and lighter. And also our crossover series for gamers and creators. And that's why there's an SD card reader, full-size SD card reader, and there's also two panel options. And the panel option that's, if you're more of a creator, there's a 4K 120 hertz panel option for this one, which is really useful if you need all that extra pixel real estate. You want to look at your video footage in native full HD and still have all the menu options and everything, or you want to even look at 4K footage or pictures in full resolution and see all the details. And then there's also a QHD 165 Hertz 3 millisecond panel option, and that one comes with advanced Optimus. So this is our first ROG laptop with advanced Optimus. We had GPU switch for a couple of years now, which is really useful if you want to have G-Sync on your laptop, but you also want to have Optimus for long battery life. In the past, on the previous generation and other models, you had to reboot to switch between either getting G-Sync and full performance of the laptop, absolutely maximum FPS, especially in FPS shooters, and if you want really long battery life with Optimus. On this one with advanced Optimus, the latest technology, you no longer have to reboot. So you can switch. Right now I'm playing games. I want to have G-Sync. I want to get, the absolutely best performance, highest FPS, 400 FPS in Call of Duty, CSGO, and so on. And now I'm going to go outside. I'm going to meet somebody. So I just switch to Optimus mode to have really long battery life, and then Nvidia GPU can just get powered off to save battery life.
Yeah, it's a cool new-ish feature. The idea has been around for a while, but this exact implementation of it is new and better than it's been for a lot of the time. Those sound like good screen options, probably both mouth-watering to gamers and content creators, as you said. Having the 120 hertz option at 4K, I'll point out, is good because I would say the downside I usually point to with a 4K panel for a gaming laptop is that it used to limit you to 60 hertz, and that wasn't really what people paying thousands of dollars for a laptop to play games on wanted to hear.
And this 4K panel, 4K 120 hertz with 3 milliseconds. So in the past, 4K 120 hertz panels until now had a higher panel response time as well. This one is only 3 milliseconds. So bringing it to par in the panel response time with other QHD and full HD panels, which is pretty nice as well. And yeah, for 4K 120, the idea is not, if you are a content creator and you're also gaming, the idea is not that you're playing games at 4K and you get 120 FPS. That is pushing it a little bit. Although with DLSS and in some games, you can actually get there. But the idea is more like you have 4K when you need and want 4K, and you have the 120 hertz, just to have browsing really smooth, menus really smooth. And if you do game, you're probably going to game at full HD resolution on the 4K panel, and you'll have 120 FPS, 120 hertz. So yeah, that's kind of the idea there.
All this talk about hertz and refresh rate is a great segue to the components, because the screen is nothing without power to push that many frames per second. What's inside the system? What can it max out to? What does it start at? And yeah, tell us what's going on inside the shell.
So Intel Tiger Lake H45 8-core, fully maxed out CPU wise. You got Thunderbolt 4 as well. You got Gen 4 SSDs, and 3 of them. So 3 Gen 4 SSDs, all of them 4 lanes, 2 connected to the CPU directly and 1 connected to the chipset, and they can run in RAID 0 for incredibly fast, a huge storage RAID setup. So if you need lots of storage and you need really fast storage, this thing has you covered for sure. And yeah, GPU-wise, it goes up to an RTX 3080 with 140 watts. So really high performance on the graphics side as well.
That wattage point is very crucial. We've seen a good amount of variance with the 30 series GPUs, more so than in the past with the wattages, and not quite being sure what kind of each GPU you're getting. So it's very important to look at the details of the wattage, and also read our reviews for testing of how one 3070 compares to another 3070, etc. Because they have quite a range of performance differences. Obviously, these 17-inch systems with a little bit more room for thermal should give a better ability to push higher TDP and get more wattage and power out of your system.
Yeah, and the idea there was not, really to confuse people or to trick anyone, but the idea is, a bigger range just gives us, the laptop manufacturers, more freedom and more flexibility. So it's possible to have all sorts of different form factors. And in the end, then it's up to the customer to decide if they want it. But yeah, it can be confusing, and getting a review, so getting you guys to test it and to really compare the different performances, is more important than ever now. So yeah, that's really important that people actually really understand. That's also why we put the TGP information on our product pages. We also released a press release with a table of all our models, all the GPU configurations, and what the wattages are for each of the GPU options. So we're trying to be as transparent as possible about this to avoid any confusion and misunderstandings.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We agree the testing is important. You know, be sure
more than ever.
Be sure to check out the reviews, everybody. Yeah, we do look forward to putting this to our paces, both to, I want to test out that keyboard slant, and I want to see what kind of power this GPU can bring. Is there any other cool final feature you want to show off? Anything you want to talk about with the design that you didn't mention yet?
Well, yeah, at the top we have a webcam, despite having those super slim bezels. So the bezels are even thinner than on the previous one, and we also managed to add a webcam, which I think everybody's going to be happy about. And especially the bottom bezel is much thinner than on the previous one, which is pretty nice. And yeah, the volume wheel. So the volume wheel is much wider now. You can see here. So basically now you don't even have to look for it. You just know it's somewhere above the F1, F2, and you just go right up there, and you can you know, swipe up, swipe down, click on it to mute. You can also hold it to bring up a context menu and then switch between different functions for that wheel. So you can also use it to mute your microphone, increase the volume of your microphone, and so on, and browse the web pages up and down. And we added acceleration, which is pretty cool as well. So if you scroll slowly, you have a lot of fine control. You can increase and reduce the volume at around 2 to 3% volume up and down per step. And if you quickly want to go up and down, you scroll very quickly, we detect that. And then every little step that's detected goes 10% or 20% up or down in volume, so you can quickly increase or reduce the volume.
Very cool. I don't have one on my current keyboard, but for a period when I did, I loved my volume scroll bar.
Yeah.
I went 10 keyless this time, so going a little bit more minimal, but yeah, when those things are accessible, and especially on a laptop where you're maybe changing environments you're in and want to, you know, change your volume a lot, that's a really useful feature to have. So all the better.
And especially for gaming, I mean, it's pretty common that when you launch a game, there's always the entry trailer, right? There's the trailer in the beginning, and it's usually super loud.
I don't know if those things are contractually obligated to blow your eardrums out, but they seem like they might be, because they're always 10 times louder than the actual gameplay.
Right. Yeah, and that's why it's so convenient that we have the hotkeys there to just quickly reduce the volume, and the volume wheel on this one, even more intuitive. So I'm a big fan of the volume wheel as well. It's more intuitive than the key. Even if I know that the volume keys are here, the hotkeys, the wheel is just I don't have to think about it. It's just so intuitive, just go up and down.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Sasha. We'll be back with a full review of the system when it's available, and look forward to putting it through its paces. I've been Matthew Buzzy. Thank you so much for your time, Sasha. You can read more, as always, on PCMag.com.